We're on our way over to the Flint Center now. We're going to have an all-hands meeting. Jim Barksdale has moved up the all-hands meeting by roughly about a week. We've just announced quarterly results, and now this major change in direction.
Well, in case you hadn't read the newspapers, we have, as of 1:30 this morning, concluded negotiations and agreed to sell our company to AOL of Dulles, Virginia.
I can't imagine that day when they announced the merger that they weren't like, oh, I don't believe this, you know, sort of a nightmare scenario. Although, you know, the worst one would have been Microsoft's buying us, I guess. You know, then they would have, you know, you'd have seen like this flow of cars out of Netscape. 6 months ago, they were insulting AOL's technology. You know, it was a service for idiots.
Congratulations, Skippy. You've got mail.
Netscape was not unusual in the way they felt about AOL in Silicon Valley. I mean, it's very clear that nobody had any respect for the company. One of them at Netscape called Steve Case a soap salesman because he used to work at Procter & Gamble. The soap salesman bought them.
The quote that came out of this article was Netscape, something along the lines of, "Live fast, died young, and left a tired corpse." And I don't know that I agree with that. I don't think Netscape's done yet.
They bought us because they like us, they like what we do, and they don't want to disturb that formula. So their plan is to not damage us in any way.
There had been a lot of speculation out on the net, you know, in the free software community, like, oh, well, this is it, you know, it's all over now, AOL is just going to screw everything up. So I wrote this thing that I put on the Mozilla.org site that laid out the worst case scenario, like, well, okay, even if everything goes wrong, it's still not as bad as you're saying it is, because the nature of what Netscape did meant that the code belongs to the community now. A few days later, I got email from Steve Case saying, we think what you're doing is a great thing, and it's part of the reason we bought the company, and we plan to keep it going that way. So as far as Mozilla.org and Netscape and AOL's contribution to the open source movement goes, he says it's going to continue.
The merger with AOL creates a windfall for shareholders that will give Netscape employees the chance to cash out and move on, causing speculation in the national media about AOL's ability to retain Netscape's key people.
And already I hear, you know, the AOL people have come into Netscape and said, you know, this is the AOL way. Well, it's not going to work at Netscape. There's got to be the Netscape way with help from AOL. I suspect some of them will leave. You know, they don't want to be part of AOL. Some people just like the startup mentality, and those that want to sort of be part of a juggernaut are going to stay and be part of the juggernaut.
I've been at Netscape for 3.5 years, and it feels like forever. AOL's focus and Netscape's growing focus has been marketing and advertising and all that stuff, and that's not nearly as interesting to someone who's sort of a techno-fetishist. You know, I'm switching jobs, I'm selling my house, I'm moving, switching towns. That's life for startup land. I'm still young and stupid, as I like to put it, so I can get away with doing stuff like that.
A year and a half ago, so Tara comes to me. She says, I want to be a manager so bad that I can taste it. So we finally said, all right, you get to be a manager. And like within a week, she said, why did you ever let me do this? And Tara's turned out to be like one of the Netscape's greatest managers. So here's to Tara, the release team manager.
Tara leaves Netscape for an e-commerce startup, missing out on a big jump in the value of her stock options in hopes of a bigger payout at her new company.
Free Mozilla!
Yes, Mozilla! Free the source!
Regardless of how AOL runs the Netscape business, it's not Netscape anymore. That part's over, and you know, that's really sad. I wish Netscape could have gone it on their own.
Frustrated by what he perceives as a lack of commitment to open source development, Jamie quits Netscape 1 year to the day he helped give away Mozilla.
The movie Hackers, I think, is just a great movie. I wish our lives were like that. I wish we were roller skating around in spandex and fighting bad guys, but you know, it's not. it's sitting in a room and typing all day.
This was what I was trying to escape, this life. I knew I did not want to live here.
I've been out here now about 4 or 5 years. This is a nice place. This is escape from the jungle.
Jim Roskind is promoted to Netscape's highest engineering rank.
Last night I was here at 4 in the morning, and this isn't even in the middle of a critical push, but it's almost like an addiction, an adrenaline rush, a going for perfection, a pushing. And then, as you see the results, you get the feedback to push harder.
You know, I really shouldn't comment on this since I'm just as foolish as everyone else, but I'll just go ahead and do it while admitting that I'm foolish. There's just a tremendous quest for material wealth here. It's like the gold rush all over again. And this is going to be the playhouse, and then this will be like a front porch with maybe little flowers and stuff, so it'll be like a cute little house. I went to Netscape because its main purpose was to generate cash based on this internet thing. That's like what we're going to do. We're going to get rich.
It just took a heavy toll on our marriage, and if it wasn't for God's grace, we wouldn't have made it.
Why I use God's gifts?
Michael burned out. Michael came to a place where in his own life where he said the cost is too great. I'm not going to do it anymore.
If people would look at this and say, oh, hey, this is a cool thing, I'm going to start a startup and get rich quick, you know, I would just have to say, you need to count the cost, because you can't ever retrieve the time that's lost. Yes!
Michael Toy, Netscape employee number 6, achieved his goal of financial independence and retired from Netscape shortly after Mozilla's release.
In the Valley, if you've stayed someplace longer than about 3 years, people wonder what's going on. Why can't you get another job? What's wrong with you? If you're a programmer, you pretty much change jobs about every 2 years or so. It's like ants, worker ants. They send a group out to do something. As that group approaches the task that they're going to do, some ants leave, more ants come on. By the time it gets to the target, it could be a totally different set of ants. I think as we distribute the set of work that we're doing and more in the information age, it'll be more like that.
Scott Collins continues to commute to Netscape from Michigan.